Hi guys, welcome to the HMC resources. Just a tutorial on Davinci Resolve and how we actually edit and put together video clips for social media. So let's hop straight into it. I'm going to show you how to use Davinci Resolve and a little bit of the interface and how we edit and put it together. So here we are on screen, and what you're met with is a simple layout. This is on the media tab. As you can see down here, there's different tabs at the bottom depending on what you're actually doing. So this is for if you want to cut media, you want to edit the actual timeline, and so on and so forth. So the first thing that shows up should most probably be either the media or the cut page. Let's just say it's in media. You can go and grab your files, and I find that the best way to do that is to open your Finder. Obviously, if you're on a PC, it's your Explorer. And as you can see here, I've got HMC comms, social media, video post, and I've got the files that I need. So I'm just going to select these files, click and drag into media. And as you can see there, it's placed in the media pool. You can go to cut as well. In this section here, you can see the files also here. What we want to do though is to go to edit, because we're going to edit these clips together. The first thing you want to do though is to create a sequence or a timeline. In Davinci Resolve, it's called a timeline, and you basically create a timeline, and within that timeline, you can place video clips in there. So that's what we're going to do first. So I'm going to right click on this particular social media video resolution, because this is what we want our base to be. So I'm going to right click and go create new timeline using selected clips. I'm going to click on that. The first thing I do want to change is my timeline name. So that's going to be, for example, maybe our church date that this was recorded. So 20 being 2020, 05 being May, and 17 being the 17th of May. And I'm just going to write church. And I want to click on use custom settings because I need to make sure I check the format. Now the format isn't going to be the traditional 1080p, which is 1920 by 1080 in terms of resolution. It's going to be a little bit different because we're going to use it for social media. Instagram likes it kind of in the portrait format, and it is 1080 in the width by 1350 in the vertical. So we're going to change that right here, as it says timeline resolution. I'm going to change that to 1080 by 1350. Make sure I check my timeline frame rate to 25 frames a second, because that's what we record at here at church, also here in Australia. I'm going to then go back to general. This start timeline code depends, it's up to you. I like to zero this out so it starts exactly at 00 all the way through. Once you've done that, you're good to go. Hit create, and it basically creates a timeline, as you can see here, and I can click and drag up here. Creates a timeline of this particular image, which is our resolution. All right, so that's on video track 1. What I then can do is actually grab our actual church clip, and you can kind of see when I scroll through it, it actually shows up here in the preview. If you were to double click on this, you can actually see it here in your actual preview window, and you can click and drag and scrub. And you might be able to hear it as well. You can scrub through the audio. Okay, so the good thing about this is you can actually pick and choose the points that you want. So you can choose your in point and your out point as to what you want to include in your actual clip. So here's an example. Say I fast forward it to this part. You can hit spacebar, and it actually plays the video. Okay, so what you can do is you can find exactly where you want to cut this clip and then bring it in. So okay, let's just say I just grab, okay, so I might grab it from here. And you can use the arrow keys to go frame by frame. So left arrow key goes back, right arrow key goes forward. And what I can actually do is mark my in point. So that's where I want to grab it from.
We're living in a world where things are changing, or things have already changed. Do you guys agree?
Okay, I'm going to stop it there. Click my out point. And what I can then do is click and drag that clip onto my timeline and now position it on top of my social media background right here. I can also lengthen, so if you just mouse over to the end of the clip, I can click and drag that over. Now if you want to zoom into this timeline view, in Davinci Resolve you have to hold Command and then plus, and that zooms in, and then Command minus zooms out. So I'm just going to zoom in a little bit like that, and you can see that as I mouse over the end of any of the clips, you can actually bring it back or forward and it actually snaps. The reason why it snaps is you got snapping on. If you turn that off, it won't actually snap. As you can see there, it won't actually snap as hard as it was before. So turn that on, I know that I can snap directly to match that timeline there. Okay, so if I were to just play this back on my actual timeline, I've got video 1 at the bottom and video 2 on top. But what you'll notice is video 2 isn't showing the background by default in Davinci Resolve. So there's a way to actually show that. If you select video 2, you right click and go clip attributes. Then right here it says alpha mode. Alpha mode basically refers to whether you show what's behind it or not. So at the moment it's blacked out. If you click on pre-multiplied and hit OK, you'll see right here that now we can see our background. The other thing as well is the video 2 on our timeline isn't scaled to fit a square. So on social media, we want it to fit the square so that the preview of that particular post basically fills up the entire post as a square. So the way that we do that is we go to our top right, there's something called the inspector. I want to click on the inspector and it pulls up all this information about this particular clip. So make sure you have this clip selected and the information for this clip will show here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to retime and scaling. Now if this isn't expanded, what you need to do is double click and it shall expand. There's something called scaling and I'm going to hit crop. Now what crop does is it actually brings it up to the actual resolution. Before Davinci Resolve brought it down and scaled it to fit the actual timeline. So when we hit crop, it actually goes to the actual resolution of the video. So the video that you guys will download will be 1920 by 1080 and we'll share with you the links to download for the videos that you need to edit for our social media posts. So I've set that to crop and now that's going to be our complete square. So the cool thing is now we've got the background showing, we've put the video to the size that it needs to be. There's a few other things that we'll also get to as well. Okay, so if I were to just play this on my timeline.
We're living in a world where things are changing, or things have already changed. Do you guys agree?
Okay, so that's my entire timeline. The next thing I want to do is add my text. So the text is for subtitling, and I'll show you a really simple way to set it up. And we'll set it up all the same so that whoever edits it, it'll be all standardized. So I'll go back to the start of my timeline, and what I want to do is go up to the top here and it says Effects Library. I want to hit Effects Library, and under Titles, so if I select Titles here, there's something called Text. What I can do is I can click and drag the text and drag it onto a new video layer here. Now you can either drag it onto a new layer here, or you can drag it on top of the video footage here, and it says insert, overwrite, replace, etc. If you did want to, you can place on top. And what that does is it actually places that title on top. So now you can see, if I just drag this down, we've got 1, 2, 3 video tracks. The title track on top, we've got the actual church video in the middle, and then as our background, we have the Instagram template. Okay, so just a few standards that we'll use for our titling. Let me go from the top. So we're gonna change this font to Futura. So if you just hit the letter F, it takes you to the fonts that start with the letter F, so Futura. We're gonna leave that on medium, and the size we're gonna use is size 45. You hit enter and you can see that this title actually changes to font size 45. We're also gonna change the alignment. We're gonna make it center aligned. And we're also gonna change the position. Now, we always have two lines, of text. So I'm just gonna write title first line, and then I'll write this is the second line. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna choose the position. So there's an X position, which moves in the X, so across ways. And we also have the Y position, which moves in the up and down. Now the way that you move this is you can click and drag to the left or drag to the right, or you can actually punch in numbers. So right here for our position, I'm gonna punch in 221. Just because I know I did this before. So if we set this as our standard, then it should all work together. So for 2 lines of text, the Y position of that text box will be 221. Then I'm gonna scroll down to background, and background we're gonna change a few things. The first thing we're gonna do is increase the height. Okay, so you can see that we can add a background and tell the background how high it should be. I have some presets here in terms of value. So the height of this background should be 0.12, and that should fit right there. At the moment, you can see that there's a curvature on the actual corner. That's the corner radius. Just punch that down to 0 because we'll keep that straight as a rectangle. We're gonna change the width as well. The width is gonna be 0.98. And as you can see, it goes up to almost the edge of that resolution and that screen. So what we've done essentially is now added the text here. And for this particular text, you can see that on video 3, it's the entire duration of this video. So if you wanted to change the subtitles based on the timing of what's been said, let me show you how to do that. So I can just write this as this is the first subtitle with 2 lines of text, full stop. And let's just say we play this video.
We're living in a world where things are changing.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it there, and I'm gonna move my mouse to the end of this text clip and just drag it, and it should snap to where your timeline head is. What you then can do is copy or duplicate this subtitle, and if you just hold down Option and click and drag, it actually creates the same text or same title, and we can drag this to match here. And I'm gonna select this text clip, and this is gonna be the second subtitle text with 2 lines. All right. So if I were to play this, say from around here, you can see that it says this is the first subtitle. Play that, and then it switches to the second subtitle text with 2 lines. So that's pretty much how you do subtitling in a basic way, just a standardized way, so that whoever's editing it, it'll all look the same. And on the timeline itself, this is what it looks like. You got the text, subtitles on top, you've got the church clip on the bottom, and then you have the actual social media video template on the bottom. So hopefully that's pretty clear, because the next step we're gonna do is export this actual video clip out. So here we go. At the bottom here, as I said at the start, there's different tabs. There's one here called Delivery. I'm gonna click on Delivery, and under Delivery, it should be set to QuickTime H.264. If you're wanting to know what that is, it's basically the type of compression that is used for the actual video. Then we want to make sure that our resolution, it actually says custom, which is good because it is a custom resolution. It's 1080 by 1350, frame rate at 25, and that's all good. By default, this will be ticked on to automatic. We want to change that to 4000. This basically sets the compression of the video in terms of seconds. So 4,000 kilobytes per second. And this is kind of a good compression for what we want to use it for, which is social media. So we'll keep it on 4,000 for now. All right, once you've set all that, you can set your location. So this file name will be 200517 church, and this might be called, say, change. I'm just gonna add this as a title, which is change, and browse my location. For this, I'm gonna select my HMC com, social media video post, and I'm gonna create a folder called renders. Renders basically means whatever we've rendered out, that's where we're gonna put our final videos. I'm gonna hit save. Once you hit save, I want you to click on this button here called Add to Render Queue. Now, when you click Add to Render Queue, you can see that on the right side here, it actually creates a job, so job 1. And all you need to do is hit Start Render. Here we go. And it's done. Once you hit Render, go and check your video file, which is located here. So under Renders, and here's my church video. If I open that up and I hit play,
We're living in a world where things are changing, or things have already changed. Do you guys agree?
so that's pretty much how you guys edit your social media posts for our HMC social media platforms, such as Instagram and also Facebook. If you do have any other questions, or you want to know how to do something else, please let us know, write it in the comments or something, and I hope that helps. God bless you guys.